evening, everybody. How are we all doing? Hope you're all fine and happy and healthy on this lovely day. It's not so lovely though. It's a bit of a sad day actually. There's been a couple of deaths that have come to my attention, and the news has thrown it my way today. One is Luke Perry, who's the American actor who was in Beverly Hills 90210. If you're my age or older, you'll know it from when it was on TV. It was a big thing in the early 90s. And he seemed like a pleasant and nice enough guy. And he's always ashamed to hear about people who were youngish. I mean, he was, say youngish, he was 52, I think. He had a stroke last week and died from it, which is a real shame. Not a very nice thing. And the next one is, well, everybody's heard about it now. I think it's Keith Flint from the Prodigy. He was instantly recognisable with his sort of reverse mohawk and spiked hair and everything. I had the pleasure of meeting the man. My Prodigy story. I'll come on to that in a bit. But you may or may not know, I used to tour with bands as a lighting designer and lighting technician, and I was a local crew and what you think was a roadie for several years. And a number of times I worked, at festivals and things, on running, as a stagehand when the Prodigy were in, and a number of other bands, and always very polite and everything. And then later on, when I was touring with other bands, I had the pleasure of actually working on the circuit with the Prodigy, and they were all, truly professional, amazing presence and everything. I mean, when I taking it all the way back now, so this is a very rambling one. This is my little story, and it's I have a little tiny reference, or I actually had an interaction with him, so I've got a tiny little bit to say on this. I remember when I first came across the Prodigy, it was when Outer Space came out, which would have been in, I can't remember now, 1989? No, 1990 probably. Wow, 1992. So there we go, 1992. So I would have been all of, I don't know, 9, 10. Well, that one, when parents got it, so it could have been about 95 actually. Anyway, that's when I got sort of exposed to Prodigy for the first time, and I was like, this is pretty good. I was into rock music and everything, and so it was the first either my dad's music or Meatloaf or something, Nirvana or something terrible. Actually, Nirvana were good. So yeah, that was my first being exposed to it, and from then onwards I liked it. I remember my friend, one of my school friends who used to go skateboarding with, Adam, had his hair always had used to spike it like Keith. Yeah. And I mean, my story about with Keith was that I was on tour with a band. We were in Russia. We were doing a festival. I remember Keith coming in, walking backstage with his slippers, and his dressing gown, and his newspaper under his arm, sort of moseying into backstage and sitting down opposite me. We'd done a nice little natter about flowers, his rose garden and stuff, and it's like, what? Hang on, you're Keith from the Prodigy. What are you talking about roses and stuff? But he was, he was an everyday person like everybody else, and it's a lonely world we live in. It's a hard world and stuff, and especially for artists and stuff who get sort of put on pedestals or get put into situations where they're looked upon as role models or for their opinion on everything. And it's I know from many people I've worked with and spoken to, they do find it awkward, and it is a shame because how do I put it? Well, if Keith killed himself because he was depressed or whatever and was struggling, that is a really sad thing. He's a nice man, one of the nicest people I met in my time touring, and got to spend any time talking to him and stuff. Fascinating guy, really was. The few times I got to speak to him. And The moral of this story is don't suffer in silence, basically. We've all had down times and everything, and I mean, I know I did. Before I met Jenny, I had a terrible, terrible time. Sort of 6 months, a year before we met, I struggled really badly. I went and I did go and get help, and it really, really helped in the end. Really helped. So do not suffer in silence. There is ample support and help out there if you go and go for and ask for it. You don't you can go to see your doctors and speak to them. It doesn't have to be drugs based or anything. It can be on to therapists and things, and there are numbers. There are people like Samaritans and that you can speak to. So do. Anyway, I don't know what I'm waffling on about. Anyway, I had a nice little Keith story that I will remember that to the day I die. It was just the most surreal thing. This, true, rock god, and I don't even call him rock, but electric music god. Sort of walking backstage in his dressing gown and his slippers, with his newspaper under his arm, sitting down backstage in a festival in the middle of Russia, in the middle of an airbase, and just nattering away about flowers and stuff. It was bizarre and lovely, and I love meeting anybody like that who is just down to earth and normal and nice, especially when you've been put into that. You're seen as this hellraiser and everything, which is what he was. I mean, he did like the gentry life in that as well. So, anyway, that's my story. Thanks for watching. Sorry it's a bit waffly and a bit rambly and everything. I'm not going to edit this. I was going to try and put on some of the video footage from that gig, or from one of the gigs, and I can't get it to play, unfortunately. Just try it one more time. It's not going to download. It'll let me download it and play it on the phone. So, you can't see this, you don't. Anyway, that's the Prodigy in Russia. That's what we call Hiroshima mode when it goes off like that. Anyway, that's the Prodigy. They were awesome. Still are awesome. R.I.P. Keith. Take care, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye. Yep, I was ready. Wish you could see all that. That was so good.